Alright guys, in chapter 1, lesson 2, we will be talking about words and expressions. So the first thing we want to learn about is a numerical expression. So a numerical expression, if you did not learn this last year, would be an expression with numbers and operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. If we want to look at a couple examples, we could do something like 3 plus 2. We could do 8 minus 5. Or 6 times 4, or we'll throw in a division, 20 divided by 5. Now keep in mind, you can have more than one operation. It just has to have at least one operation and numbers. Big thing that you want to highlight here is that there is no equal sign. Make sure you have that in your notes. If there was an equal sign, that would make it an equation, so an expression has no equal sign. Now that we know what a numerical expression is, we want to take some verbal phrases and change them into numerical expressions. So translating in this first section. 1A, the cost of 10 yo-yos if each costs $3. So each tells us we're typically going to multiply. So in this case, our expression would be 10 times 3, or 3 times 10. In 1B, the number of students in each group if 15 students are divided into 5 equal groups. So I know I have 15 students. I know I'm dividing into 5 equal groups. So how would we figure that out? Our expression would look like 15 divided by 3. 5 rather, sorry. And in 1C, the number of students on 3 buses if each bus holds 22 students. So 3 buses, again we see that each tells us to multiply. 22 students. So 3 times 22. Notice we're not solving anything, we're just translating at this point. And last one, the amount of money Nina earned if she mowed the lawn for $15 and walked the dog for $4. So she made $15 from the lawn, $4 from the dog. This and tells us we're going to add. So 15 plus 4. Okay, so now that we've worked on translating expressions, we want to look at evaluating. So to evaluate an expression, you find its numerical value. Now again, they do not have equal signs. So when you're evaluating, do not write an equal sign. Our key concept for our order of operations, hopefully you guys remember your order of operations. Step 1, we simplify the expressions inside grouping symbols. Step 2 would be multiply and or divide in order from left to right. And step 3, add or subtract in order from left to right. You guys probably know this better as PEMDAS. Notice, multiply, divide, add, subtract. They're all on the same level, so it's from left to right, whatever you see first. So evaluate each expression, showing each step, circle your final answers. So we're going to kind of take care of our numerator and our denominator. When you see a fraction, that tells us to divide, and you can think of there being grouping symbols in your numerator and denominator. So 60 minus 15 gives us 45 over 2 plus 7 gives us 9. 45 divided by 9 gives us a final answer of 5. And notice we did not write any equal signs as we went through. We just funneled it down. So in our second one, 30 divided by 5 times 3. Again, multiply, divide, same level. So it's whatever you see first from left to right. So our 30 divided by 5 gives us 6 times 3. Then final step, 6 times 3 gives us 18. Again, circle final answer. All right, this one we're going to have to squeeze a little. 4 times quantity of 10 minus 7 plus 2 times 3. Parentheses, or our grouping symbols, come first. And we have different types of grouping symbols in the note there for you. Make sure you go back and check that out. So our 10 minus 7 gives us 4 times 3, making a couple mistakes here, 4 times 3 plus 2 times 3. And just a little side note here, if you notice, parentheses will also mean multiply, and that dot, if you guys have not seen it, if it's not down in that decimal place, that dot also means to multiply. So different ways we show multiplication now. Now we have two types of multiplication here. We can do them both on the same step. So 4 times 3 gives us 12, plus 2 times 3 gives us 6. Final answer, and I didn't switch any colors this time, so hopefully you're following along. 12 plus 6, final answer of 18. I believe you guys did a lot of this stuff last year, so it shouldn't be too new. And last one like this, we have 5 times quantity 11 minus 7 plus 5 divided by 4. Inside brackets first. So 5 times 11 minus, these parentheses will come first, 7 plus 5 gives us 12, divided by 4. Now inside the brackets, we have subtraction, division. We know division comes first. So 11 minus 3, still inside our brackets. 11 minus 3 gives us 8. And your brackets, just like parentheses in the last problem, can represent multiplication. So 5 times 8, final answer of 40. You guys will see more and more problems like this where you really have to follow that order of operations. Okay, so there is some practice with our order of operations. So moving right along. We're going to work with some word problems now. Like I told you guys the other day, you'll see a lot of word problems this year. So number 1, Sally had 10 eggs and 3 broke. Write the numerical expression that represents the number of eggs Sally has left. Notice it does not say to solve. Always, always check directions. What it is asking you to do. I want you to write a numerical expression. So she had 10, 3 broke. Well, what happens if 3 broke? She lost them. So that would be subtraction. So 10 minus 3, that's all you have to do there. Okay, number 2, evaluate the expression. Show all of your steps. So this is, we're kind of wrapping up this lesson, going back, reviewing a few concepts. So we've got 6, and inside our bracket, again, parentheses first, so 14 minus 8 will give us 6, divided by 3, and again, just like before, division before addition. So 5 plus 6 divided by 3 gives us 2. And staying in those brackets, 5 plus 2 gives us 7. For a final answer of 6 times 2 is 42. And one last problem to do together. A cell phone company charges $20 per month and 15 cents for each call made or received. Write and evaluate an expression to find the cost of 40 calls. Then make a table showing the cost for 40, 50, 60, and 70 calls. So first we want to write an expression for 40 calls. So we know it's $20 per month. So I have to pay $20 regardless of how many calls I make or receive. Then in addition, remember that and tells us we want to add, it's 15 cents, don't forget your decimal, per call, and I know we have 40 calls. So $20 no matter what, plus 15 cents per call, and in this case it would be 40 calls. So if we fill in our table for 40, 50, 60, and 70, we're going to follow that same rule that we just came up with there. So 20 plus 15 times 40, 20 plus 15 cents times 50 calls, 20 plus 15 cents for 60 calls, and last 20 plus 15 cents for 70 calls. And at this point we could just go to our calculators, and we will be working a lot with the calculators so that you guys can figure out how they work. I know they're new for you. 40 calls would cost $26. 50 calls would cost $27.50. 60 calls would cost $29. And 70 calls would cost $30.50. Make sure you label with your dollar sign on each of those. So now at the bottom here, what relationship can you determine using the number of calls and the cost? Well, if I go through here, we know our calls are going up by 10 from 40, 50, 60, 70. If I look at my prices, 26 to 27.50, 27.50 to 29, and 29 to 30.50, they're each going up by $1.50. So our relationship would be $1.50 for every 10 calls. Okay, so that's all the problems that we're going to do together. So last up, I know this video is getting a little long. Well, now you try. I want you to show all of your steps. So following your PEMDAS, starting off with 100 divided by the quantity of 16 plus 9. And then that should be plus 6. Lost the plus 9 there. Okay, so write that problem down and then show all of your steps just like we did in our notes, and you are finished.